Hey everybody, Josh Sigurdson of World Alternative Media here. We're joined again by author and economic analyst here at WAM, John Sneisen, and we are joined by the one and only Robert Kiyosaki, author of Rich Dad Poor Dad and a whole host of other books, and you've done incredible work over the years, and it's always good to talk with you again. So thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Now, we've seen kind of the return of the collateralized debt obligations, the mortgage-backed securities. We're seeing reverse mortgages, all this kind of crazy stuff. Can you go into a bit about maybe why we should learn from history and kind of stay away from this kind of craziness?
Well, throughout history, printed money has never worked. From the time of the Chinese in 600 AD, they started printing paper money, and the Romans debased the currency. And then the Weimar Republic, in the 1920s, printed money, which led to World War II, rise of Adolf Hitler, and death of about 25 million people. So then the United States tried it again in 1971 when Nixon took us off the gold standard. And every time they can't figure out how to make more money, they create derivatives of money. And so we're just doing it again. And it's not real money, it's fake money. So if I give a plug, my next book coming out is called Fake, just big fake. There's fake news, there's fake this, there's fake that. But there's also fake money, fake teachers. Our teachers are not, when it comes to money, I'm sure they're good people, but they really don't know what they're talking about when it comes to money. That was my poor dad, Yeah. And then the last one is fake assets. And what we're talking about right now are fake assets, where they're, CD, collateralized debt obligations, things like this. But it's not new. The whole thing is it's never ended nicely. There's this boom, there's euphoria. That's like if I gave you, $5 million each, you'd be very happy. But for a lot of people, it's like a hangover soon comes after that. And that's why most sports stars and lottery winners, they go bust. Yeah. And so the whole thing isn't money, it's that we don't know how to manage our money. So.
Yeah, and we've seen this end badly before. We saw it in 2007, of course. Obviously, a lot of people lost a lot of money. You see investor confidence, but not exactly fundamental value. And that can cause, obviously, a lot of problems. Not to say, every real estate market is going to go bust, but obviously there are a lot of real estate markets right now that obviously don't look good, mainly, Vancouver, Toronto, Seattle, for example. Where do you think are the best places at this moment to buy and the worst places to buy?
What, real estate?
Yeah.
I'm not buying anything right now. I'm selling. I generally don't sell. Yeah. And so it kind of hurts me to sell. Yeah. But I know it's a bubble because the properties, we bought about 1,600 units about 3 years ago. And already these private equity and hedge fund guys are offering us 3 times more than we paid for it in just 2 years. So for me to get my ROI, by cash flowing it out of rent, it ain't going to happen. So if some idiot's knocking on your door to give you 3 times what you paid for it, you got to sell, and I hate selling. I like, like Warren Buffett, how long do you hold a stock? He holds it forever. I hold gold and silver forever, and I hold real estate forever. But now with all these people offering us so much money, I mean, it's ridiculous. But as you know, you never sell your best properties. You sell all the stuff that you're kind of hoping to get rid of anyway. Yeah. So it's kind of funny. It's entertaining.
Yeah. John, I'm sure you have a question regarding that.
Yeah, no, it's interesting to see how it develops and how these hedge funds and everybody's coming in to just try to find anything of value right now and anything that they could turn around for certain percentages, because there's by interest rates being so low, you see just a mass flood into a lot of bad assets and bad investments, malinvestments, because people are desperate, especially the pension funds and so on. They are desperate to find anything to back up all these unfunded liabilities. Now, I know you, I believe you wrote a book with Donald Trump back when it says why we want you to become rich. And I think you touched a little bit upon, the unfunded liabilities and the problems in the United States. If you want to go just quickly into, what you see happening, in the near future with all the pensions and everything that have been promised.
Well, it's not pretty. I mean, we have so many I'm a baby boomer. I think there's 10,000 of us so-called retiring every day, but I think only 10, 20% can afford to retire. And the greatest fear in America today is not dying poor. The greatest fear amongst my generation of boomers is that living poor. You know, what's going to happen when you can't afford health care? What's going to happen when you live to be 100? You know, and all the investment fund tables, you know, like the pension funds and all that, they were based upon a 7.5 return. You haven't seen that in 12 years. And then on top of that, they expected us to die at 70. Well, I'm already 71, so I'm already costing them money. And Social Security is already going negative. And so that leaves Medicare and Medicaid in America, the entitlement programs. But what most Americans don't know is that, you know, all this grandstanding right now between our senators and congressmen and our president, the fact is, you know, we're just in the red pill listening to talking about the amendments, but the fact is the Constitution, which is stronger than the amendments, the Constitution states that our leaders like Trump, the Senate, and the Congress can only control 35% of the budget. The rest of the budget is controlled by entitlements. So as military defense goes up because of these protracted wars and because of entitlements, the Constitution is required to fund them. And we're broke. Yeah. So that means, where are we going from here? You cannot make any changes. So all this talk about, you know, we're going to balance a budget. Well, we haven't balanced a budget since 1994. Yeah, exactly. And we're just going deeper and deeper into the red. And as you guys know, between 2008 and 2018, in 10 years, we printed more money than any time in world history. Mm-hmm. And as I started this whole thing, anytime somebody prints fake money, be it the Germans or the Chinese or anybody, it's always ended badly. And the only question is, how bad?
Yeah. Well, and just adding to that, talking about pensions, it's absolutely insane when you look at the studies and analysis based on today versus what it will turn into. Logistically, it has to hit about a $400 trillion shortfall by the year 2050. Now that is
400 trillion?
400 trillion. And
US
worldwide. That's worldwide. But that's over 4 times the global GDP, which is absolutely astonishing. And that comes down to a point that I wanted to go into with you is dependency of people. So many people are, a lot of millennials, and I know this as a millennial, seeing a lot of my friends, very dependent on their parents, on the state, on the banking system, thinking, you know, these guys are going to look out for me and they will take care of me, rather than, you know, being more independent and, you know, working towards success and being a successful person. What do you think about this kind of movement of really dependent people among the younger, and as well as there are a lot of baby boomers that were very dependent as well. What do you think about this dependence versus independence?
Well, it's all the perfect storm. Mm-hmm. You know, I wrote a book, I forgot the name of the book already, but it was that it all come to a head in 2016. And that was a year that the baby boomers would have to start withdrawing from this whole thing. So it's worldwide now. So I don't think it's going to end pretty. Just look at history. Look at the Weimar Republic, the Germans, and Zimbabwe, and now Venezuela. Yeah. Every time they've printed money, which we have to print money now, the U.S. does because of the Constitution, it's not going to be pretty. And so I feel for your guys, your age, you know, because you guys are going to not only pay for it, but you're going to have to dig your way out of this one.
Yeah, it's one of those things where us as individuals, younger people need to, instead of looking towards pensions, actually look towards assets and look at ways to protect their wealth. And that's another thing I wanted to go into with you is the solutions, because we could talk about problems all day, but there are solutions out there. And I've heard you talk about it several times. I see those Lear commercials on Fox News all the time where you're talking about gold and silver. And I would like to hear your thoughts on the current gold markets and why you think gold and silver stand out above, obviously, the failure of the fiat system.
Well, like I can plug my new book, Fake, coming out if I ever get it published. I just more stuff keeps coming up, so I keep changing the book, Fake. And it's going to be initially free online so people can look at it. But when I was your age, I was 25 years old. That's in 72. Nixon took the dollar off the gold standard in 71. So in 72, the book Fake starts with me flying my helicopter behind enemy lines into Vietnam. So I went to not North Vietnam, but the North Vietnamese had overrun our position. And so there was a gold mine in enemy hands. So my goofy co-pilot and I and a crew chief, we flew behind enemy lines to go look for gold, like idiots. So we were in this village that's overrun by Viet Cong and NVA, and we're, hey, hi, we came out of our helicopters unarmed to let them know we came as business guys, not military guys. And so we tried to buy gold then, and I realized something. I'd never seen gold, because back in 72, it was illegal for Americans to own gold. So that same year, our ship was an aircraft carrier. We sailed into Hong Kong, and I bought my first gold. I think it was a Krugerrand. It was about $50. Well, today that same Krugerrand's worth $1,500, and the dollar's worth nothing. So what I always say to young people, is you want to buy what's real money, and gold and silver are God's money. And what I mean by God's money is that gold and silver were here when the earth was created. The gold, I believe, is atomic number 79, silver is 47. Gold and silver will be here when the cockroaches are dead. And gold and silver will be here long after the dollar and the Canadian dollar and the looney's gone and all this. So I've just been buying gold and silver every chance I got since I was your age. And now now it's a big problem called storage. And I don't keep anything in banks. I've had to fly my gold and silver to, what I say, safe countries. And not because of the country, is America so litigious that if I get sued, and if I lose my lawsuit, the SOB that wins the lawsuit has to go look for my money in some other country, which is expensive. So I've hid my gold and silver outside the U.S. in very safe places with long trails. But that's because it'll still be here when the cockroaches are dead. And the more they print money, which they probably will, the more valuable gold and silver gets. It's not that gold and silver goes up in price. It's the value in my country of the dollar going up and down. So if the dollar goes up, price of gold comes down. Dollar comes down, gold goes up. So that's why I say gold and silver are real money. And so I've been telling everybody for years, like if you have no money, start with silver. $20 for a silver coin. Canadian silver leaf, whatever you call them, yeah. But I would save that. I wouldn't save the loonie, and I wouldn't save the dollar, and I wouldn't save the yen or the yuan. So to me, that makes more sense.
Yeah. What good is keeping a whole bunch of paper under your mattress when all you can use it for is, fire fodder and wallpaper, as they've seen in the past? And, it's not such a bad problem to have to not know where to store all your gold. That's a good problem to have. But all the same, it is a very real problem. John, do you got a question in regards to that?
Well, just looking at where we are today in the world economy and where we're going, I've been heavily studying everything that has been happening throughout hyperinflations, or you call them devaluations, or whatever they do. And it seems it just comes to a breaking point usually where people suddenly are at the point where they almost can't even manage to feed themselves because inflation has gotten so high, and they got a whole bunch of loans. Like I see this in Norway and all the socialist countries. I'm from Norway originally, and I see where the high tax countries are the ones that have the most and the heaviest private debt. And people are getting hit from both sides there, and we're seeing that in Canada and other places. So I think people are going to get squeezed to a point where there's a point of no return, where I see a lot of times throughout history where people just said enough is enough, I can't afford any living anymore with this fake currency. So people start to stand up. So do you see I know, been talking about this forever, but do you see kind of like movements around the world, like where people actually are starting to get fed up with the system and want, to get out of it. And I think that's when we're going to see the real, momentum picking up very fast.
That's a good point, because I'm observing the mass migrations. It's like the Serengeti where the wildebeest are running. Well, I see human beings running all over the world, like crossing into Europe, the Rohingya in Burma, in that area, the part of the world. You got El Salvadorans moving up to America. So I've never seen such mass migrations. And it's not always money, but money is always related to the whole thing. So also the thing I watch is homelessness. You look at Seattle, it's one of the biggest homeless populations, and it's one of the richest countries on the West Coast, the same as Vancouver, Canada. It's such a beautiful place, but you can't afford to live there. And so that's what happens when you print fake money. And so I watch that and I go, what's going to happen to, everybody's upset with Trump for separating the babies and the adults at the border and all that. Well, you're supposed to, that's the law. It says that you can't throw a kid in, if the parents are criminal, you can't lock the kid up with them, So there's no solution. Everything looks so bad with social media, nothing's going to get fixed. Yeah. And so that's why God's money, gold and silver, like it.
Yeah, you got to see kind of a monetary revolution to change the tides, and I think it seems like something's happening soon. Now, we've all been I assume all of us have been hurt significantly in the cryptocurrency markets in recent months, but that's not to say that obviously the blockchain technology, when decentralized, has a lot of great potential going forward. Obviously, it's just in its infancy. What do you think about the future of cryptocurrency?
Well, in my book, Fake, I wrote, today there's three types. There's been different types of money through different times of years, centuries. Like cattle was one of the original money. That's why it's called collateral, when they that. And they have in kind, which was kinder. That if you stored your cattle with the lender, they got the kinder, in kind. They got the babies. That's called interest today. So it's been going on for a long time. So there's three types of money today are, God's money, gold and silver. Then you have government money, which is fiat currency, the dollar, the loonie, the yen, the yuan. And then you have people's money, which is crypto. And it's really blockchain. But I agree with you, it's just in the infancy right now. And this guy, Warren Buffett, and his friend Charlie Munger, they call it cryptocurrency rat droppings. Well, those are the same guys. They're smart guys, but they also didn't invest in Amazon or Apple either. And now they're loading up on Amazon and Apple. So they're calling crypto rat droppings. At the same time, Singapore, which is a very sophisticated, well-run island nation, they have Bitcoin bonds and all this stuff by the government. So I think when I look at crypto, I've got to be talking to the people that know what they're talking about, not a bunch of old guys like me. That's a waste of time. But the thing I'm kind of interested about crypto is that the guys your age are mining them. And the reason I think that's interesting is that because I've listed three companies on Toronto and Vancouver stock exchanges. And I was a miner. I started a silver mine, a gold mine, and now your generation is starting Bitcoin mines or crypto mines, and it's going to alter the world forever, in a few years.
Yeah. It's pretty incredible what cryptocurrencies are. The potential there is unbelievable. However, obviously, we've seen a recent bubble burst. And obviously, you look back at the dot-com bubble and you see Amazon and you see Pets.com. Well, Pets.com didn't have fundamental value there, but Amazon did, and they had potential. And Amazon built on that potential, and after a while, they came back, and now they're stronger than ever. Whether you agree with Amazon's politics or not, it doesn't matter. The fact of the matter is they bounced bounced back from a bubble because they had fundamental value. There's a lot of cryptocurrencies at the same time that have no fundamental value and they're ridiculous to invest in. Just, they're scams. But then there's a lot of great cryptocurrencies out there that are trying to innovate. And this is kind of like a free market, the first real currency free market we've seen. And obviously we're going to see the government attempt to manipulate the markets, much like they have, or the banks, especially with Deutsche Bank attempting to manipulate the gold and silver value and so on. But what do you think is going to end this whole kind of system as we see Deutsche Bank laying off 10,000 employees and being downgraded by the S&P, and we're seeing all these other banks, their cash to deposit ratio is atrocious. Where do you see this ending up in the next few years?
Well, like I said, it's anytime they've printed, fake money, it's never ended well. Never. Not in the history of the world. So you look at Venezuela, which is one of the richest countries in the world. It's corruption, and they print money, so that now they have the petrol coin right out of Venezuela. Well, if you're a crook, the crypto's a crook too. You know what I mean? It doesn't. You just have to look at the source of all this stuff. I think it's the most exciting time. But I will say this to most people, because I'm an old guy. Having started 2 mines myself, one silver, one gold, one in Argentina, one in China. It's a lot cheaper to buy gold and silver. I didn't have to raise $27 million and then have the Chinese government steal my mine. You know what I mean? It's like I could have just bought gold and silver with $27 million, probably worth $50 million today. So I like to keep things simple and not think too much. That's why I like God's money, gold. 79, silver, atomic number 47. It'll be here when the cockroaches are dead. That's all I think about. Okay.
Absolutely. And just finishing it off, of course.
No ETFs. I don't trust anything. Yeah, no paper, gold and silver. Okay.
A very good point to make as we wrap it up. And of course, gold and silver are wealth insurance. So if people are looking at it as a quick investment to make money fast, that's stupid, and you shouldn't do that. You should actually look into why gold and silver have been valuable for so long.
Right. I don't ever sell gold and silver. I just every year, every month I acquire more, and it got to be a big problem because I had to ship it to other countries because I didn't want somebody coming stealing it from me. And I don't keep them in banks, but I never sell. And that drives people crazy. And they go, well, how do you not sell if you buy this stuff? I said, well, I use fiat currency to make money. And I use debt. I borrow to buy assets. And they go, well, how do you do that? I said, education. You got to practice, I play Monopoly every single day. But I use fake money to play Monopoly. And with Monopoly, I buy real money, which is gold and silver.
And don't forget cash flow. And obviously, as we end this off, we are at the Red Pill Expo in Spokane, Washington at the moment. And I just wanted you to finish it off, Mr. Kiyosaki, by talking about what brought you to the Red Pill Expo and your work with Mr. J. Edward Griffin.
That's a good question. I'm here because of J. Edward Griffin. I call him Sir. I've promoted him. I've knighted him. But he looks like a knight, doesn't he? He's a very elegant man, and it was his book, The Creature from Jekyll Island, which was one of the pieces of the puzzle that I said, how in the world are these guys manipulating the entire global monetary system? And his book, The Creature from Jekyll Island, was about the Federal Reserve Bank, founded in 1913, the same year the Taxation Department was founded, ironically. And so when I read Edward Griffin's books, I'm here for Ed Griffin, but I find it interesting being here because there's a lot of people who are not happy. I mean, this room is packed with people. I mean, it's expensive, like $500 to get in. It's time, 5 days. You got to sit there and listen to boring people, all have something to say. But a lot of people are disturbed, either angry, afraid, pissed off, what do you want to call it? And they're just sitting out there. I'm going, just buy gold and silver and don't worry about it.
Very optimistic guy. I appreciate you talking with us today, and we hope to talk with you again. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Good. Good luck to you guys.
Thank you. Like what you see here, WAM? Don't forget to check the links below. GoFundMe, Patreon. We can't do it without you. Any donation is very much appreciated, especially as we are so overwhelmingly demonetized and censored by YouTube as the ADL comes in and flags all of our content as hate speech. Also, check our Bitcoin address in the description as well as on the screen for you to scan if you please. And also find us at steemit.com at Josh Sigurdson, the future of social media, where you get paid in the upvote of your post in Steem, the cryptocurrency. But until next time, this is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change.